सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्म उपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत्। अनिराकरणमस्त्वनिराकरणं मे अस्तु तदात्मनि निरते यौपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओमित्येतदक्षरमुद्गीतमुपासीत ओमिति ह्युद्गायते तस्योपव्याख्यानम् यावद्विकारं तो विभागः लोकवत्। यावद्विकारं तो विभागः लोकवत्। So wherever there is vikara, there is vibhaga, or wherever there is vibhaga, there is vikara. And this is argument for establishing the creation of akasha. That akasha is vibhaktam, is separated from earth and other elements, and therefore there is vibhaga, therefore it is akasha is vikara. It is a modification, it is a product, it is created. Again, what is the Purva Paksha Anumanam? Akasha na utpadyate samagri shunyatvat. That akasha of space is not created, samagri shunyatvat, because the samagri, the requisite material, the requisite factors required for creation are not there. The samavai, asamavai, nimitta karanam, particularly the samavai and asamavai karanam, which is the sanyoga, the conjunction, and the nimitta karanam are not there. To that, so it's done this anumanam is akasho vikaraha vibhaktatvad ghatadivat. The akasha is vikara, is a modification, is a product, is created vibhaktatvad because it is characterized by being separated from other things, other elements. ईदृशस्य निराकरणं न संभवति. Atma, that is such, it is not possible to negate Atma. Agantukam vastu nirakriyate na swarupam. What can be negated is agantakam. What is incidental can be negated, na swarupam. One's inherent nature can never be negated, can never be gotten rid of. Yeyo hi nirakarta tadeva tasya swarupam. Yoyo hi nirakarta. So the one who is negating Atma is the very swarupam, the very essential nature of the one who is negating. And so one cannot negate one's own self. Nahi agnehe aushnyam agnina nirakriyate. It is not possible for the fire to negate or get rid of the heat, because heat is the very swarupa, the very essential nature of fire. So fire can never be without heat. Similarly, I cannot be without Atma, which is my swarupam. Then further to say, evam svatasphurtitvat atmana badhya yuktva svatasattagatvat cha na badhyah. Since Atma is svatasphurti, it is self-effulgent, therefore it is not subject to being negated. Further, it is self-existing, therefore also meaning that it does not depend upon anything else for it to be. Atma does not depend upon anything else for it to shine, to reveal itself, nor does it depend upon anything else for it to be, to exist. Tata ahameva idanim janami vartamanam vastu ahameva atitam atitacharam cha ajñāsisham ahameva anagatam anagataram cha jñāsyami iti. Atita anagata vartamana bhavena anyatha bhavati api jñātavye. So, in our interaction with the world, interaction nature of the knower and known, what is known is subject to constantly change. That I knew what was in the past, I know what is in the present, I will know what will be in the future. So what is known changes as past, present and future. And in knowledge that takes place also correspondingly changes, but the knower remains the same. Na jñātuhu añyatha bhavasti. Whereas the known and the knowledge, they keep on changing constantly, the knower remains the same, its nature does not change. Sarvada vartamana svabhavatvat, because it's the nature of the knower, nature of the self to always be. Sarvata vartamana svabhavatvat, because of the nature of existence. Therefore, to be always is the nature of the self. Tata basmi bhavati api dehe na atmana uchchedah. And even when the body turns to ashes, then also the atma uchcheda vinasha. Atma doesn't get destroyed, doesn't die. Vartamana svabhavatvat svabhavat anyatha svabhavatvam va na sambhavayatum shakyam. So nor does the atma get affected by the body being affected. At the same time, it is not possible that Atma changes nature. Death does not change the nature of Atma, doesn't make it different from what it is. What it is, Satyam, doesn't make it Mithya or something like that. Evam apratyakhya svabhavattvadeva akaryatvam atmanah. Therefore, akaryatvam. Because Atma is non-negatable, is undeniable, and it is always there. It is self-shining. So what is self-shining and what is self-existent is never a creation. What is creation is that which depends upon its cause for it to be. Like a pot depends upon clay for its existence, the pot depends upon the clay for it to shine, to reveal itself. If clay is not there, pot cannot exist, nor can the pot shine. But then what is self-existing and self-shining is always there, meaning it is not created. So Atma being non-negatable means it's always there, always shines, and therefore it is not created. On the other hand, karyatvam cha akashasya, on the other hand, akasha is that which is created. अकार्यात्मनः सिद्धौ तस्य अविद्यासहितस्य उपादानस्य अदृष्टादि निमित्तस्य च सत्वात्. The argument was that the requisite factors required for creation of space do not exist. Vedanta says those factors very much exist. Atma exists. There is something before space is created, and that is Atma. Further, Ajnanam also is there, is also beginningless. So Atma and Ajnanam are always there, even when space is not. And then, so that means the material for creation of space is there. That material is avidya, in conjunction with Atma. And you require a nimitta, you require a reason why it is created. For creation you require both the material as well as the reason to create. And the adrushtam, the past karma, become the reason, the nimitta for its creation. And therefore, both the nimitta karanam as well as upadana karanam, both of them are present. And therefore, the samagri, the factors required for creation of space are very much there. Anutpatti hetu samagri shunyattvasya swarupa siddhe. Your hetu, samagri shunyatvam, the absence of the samagri, absence of requisite factors, was the reason why you said Akash is not created. But the reason is not established because Atma is very much there, Ajnanam is there, Karma also is there. Sat Pratipaksha Bhadacha. So samagri is there. Further, that Akasha is what? Karyam Vivaktatvat Ghatadivat. Akasha is created because it is separate, so that Anumanam also is there. So number one, your Anumanam, based on the Hetu of Samagri Shunyatvam, absence of Samagri, is shown to be wrong. Same to our Anumanam, that Akasha is created, Vivaktatvat, that still stands. Akashasya karyatvam niravadyam. Therefore, that Akasha's karya or effect is undeniable. Niravadyam nirdosham, without any fault. So karyatvam cha akashasya. Yattuktam samanajatiyam anekam karanadravyam vyomnaha nasti. Further, it was said that what is this samvaya karanam? What we call the material cause is called samvaya karanam. That there must be an abundance of this karanam, an abundance of the material of the same class. What is samvaya karanam? Abundance of the material of the same class must be there for creation of anything. In samana jati of the same class, says, न तावत् समान जातिम आरभते न भिन्न जाति नियम अस्ति. There is no rule that the material cause of the same class is the cause of creation. The material of different classes also can be combined with each other to create a product. That material of the same class alone can be combined to create a product. It is not a rule. Nahi tantunam tat sanyoganam just samana jatitvam asti. First of all, if you say that all the cause must be of the same jati, then the nimitta karanam are of different kinds, and therefore it is, so what turi vemadinam, shuttle and the loom, all of these are different class. Then he says, wait a minute. We mean that this Samvaya Karanam must be abundant of the same class, not the Nimitta Karanam. All right. Samvaya Karana Vishayava Samana Jatitva Abhivagamaha Na Karanantar Vishayati. We did not say that all the causes must be of the same class, only Samvaya Karanam. The material cause must be abundant and of the same class. That's what we say. Tadapi Anaikantikam. That also is not always true. To that also there are exceptions. For example, Sutra Govalaihi Aneka Jatiyahi Ekarajju Srujyamana Drishyate. For example, cotton threads as well as the hair of the cow, these are woven together to create a rope. And therefore, and also according to these Vaisheshikas, so the Nyayikas also, they are talking the Asat Karyavadina, meaning that the Karya or the effect is not present in the cause. So according to them, a Rajju, a rope, which is the final product, is not there in the thread, So altogether a new Rajju is created. So new Dravya is created. So thread is one Dravya, gives rise to Rajju, which is another Dravya. So Dravyantaram. For them, the yarn is one Dravya and pata, cloth is another Dravya. Nacha Rajvadi, so one Dravya creates another Dravya. This is their idea. One Dravya, Dravyantaram. The other Dravya which did not exist comes into existence. This is what they say. Tatha, so Nacha Rajvadi, na Dravyantaram iti vachyam Patadehavi tathatva apatat. This is well, Rajju is not created. It's the same as thread. Simply the assembly of threads is Rajju. So Rajju is not something different that is created. If that is what you mean, then the cloth also is nothing but assembly of threads. But the cloth is accepted as a different Dravya. And so Tantu is one Dravya and Pata is another Dravya. For them the clay is one Dravya and pot is another Dravya. So the Dravya of the nature of pot, which did not exist, comes into being. Tasa Sutraihi Purnadivischa Vichitrant Kambalan Vitanvate. Also we find that all these checkered blankets are created. And so woven from Sutraihi Purnadivischa, from cotton as well as woolen threads, they weave different kinds of blankets. So blanket is created from different kinds of materials, not of the same class. As I say, it depends upon how you classify things. If you say that thread is the class, then they are all one class. Cotton also is thread and wool also is thread. But if cotton is the class, then wool is not the same class. It depends on how you classify. So if they are not so much at fault, really speaking, because you cannot two class. So you cannot take sand and thread, and yarn and then create cloth out of that. So that way, even the hair of the cow also is a thread. In that sense, they are the same class. But then they are not the same class if you say that it's cotton and this is wool, so not the same class. So it depends on how you classify. They say they are all the same class because they all exist. Suppose that cotton also exists and the wool also exists, so both are in the same class. So how do you say they are not different class? So Dvityog, we are now on the page 510. Dvitiyaha asmadishtaha. See, what is Dvitiyaha? If you go back to page 509, Ratnaprabha, the line last but one, Kim karanamatrasya sajatya niyamauta samavayana. When you say that, the karanam is samana jatyam, do you mean that all the karanas, samvai, asamvai, nimitta, they must all the same class? That is not so. Because thread is there and then the loom is there, they are not the same class. So samavayana. They say, no, we mean that the samavaya karana must be abundant of the same class. Then there also one option is given, vikalpa. Kim samavayata avachedaka dharmena sajatyam uta sattvadina. So when you say that the samavaya karanam is the same class, does it mean that samavayata avachedaka dharmena, that both of them are the inherent causes, the inherentness is the class, or sajat or the sattvadina, or that they exist? So you can say that this exists, this also is sat, this is also a sattvam, sattvam is existence, so they are the same class. This is how you mean by same class. If this is the thing, dvitiya asmadishtaha, if you say that all the threads are of same class because they all exist, then all right, we have no problem with that. Atma avidyayo vastutvena sajatyadidyaha. But Atma also is, avidya also is. So their problem was that Atma and avidya being of different class cannot be the samvaya karana. Being different class cannot be the material cause. We say that all right. So we give the illustration of how in other cases also this samvaya karana is not of the same class. So examples are given like the cotton thread and the woolen thread to make the blankets, etc. Says no, cotton thread and woolen thread are the same class because both of them exist. All right. If by virtue of existence you say they are the same class, then Atma also exists and avidya also exists, and therefore by that criterion they are the same class, sajatiya. So Bhashyakara says in the first line, page 510. Sattva-dravyattvadi apekshaya va samana-jatiyatve kalpyamane niyama anarthakyam sarvasya sarvena samana-jatiyakatvat. Sattva dravyattvade apekshaya. That cotton thread also is, and it's a dravya. And woolen thread also is, they are also dravya. Therefore they are same class. If that is so, then we say, according to Atma also is dravya by that. So Atma also is, avidya also is, therefore by that criterion, both of them should be considered to belong to the same class. This is called ativyapti, includes too much. Earlier was avyapti, does not include enough. Does not include enough cases. To say that this samvaya karanam is samana jatiyam does not include these cases such as the cotton thread and the cow hair, etc. for making a robe. If you say that it is dravyam, that's a jati. Or it exists, that's a jati. Includes too much. Everything is included. Then it says niyama anarthakyam. Then the rule in fact does not serve any purpose at all. Sarvasya sarvena samana jatyekatvat, because everything is the same class as everything else, because everything exists. And so then also that rule has no meaning. No, Ratnabhava continues. Upadanasya sajatyaniyam nirasya. The upadanam or the samvaya karanam must be sajati, samana jatiyam, iti nirasya. That has been refuted, by these arguments. Sanyukta anekatva niyamam. Then another thing is that this samana jatiyatvam need not be there, but he says that the material cause must be abundant in nature. Threads are there, even if you admit that the threads are not of the same class, some threads are cotton threads, some threads are woolen threads, but then at least there must be many threads, not one thread. So one thread cannot make a robe, or one thread cannot make a cloth. You must have many threads, and there must be sanyoga between them. So that rule still holds. So sanyukta anekatva niyamam. In that case, Atma also must be many. For Atma to be Samvaya Karanam, it must be many. And so, but our Atma is Advitiya, one without a second. So, Anekatva Niyam Advitiyasya Asangasya Api Atmana. See, Atma is Asanga, therefore cannot join with anything. Now, if Sanyoga, conjunction is required, if manyness is required, and Sanyoga conjunction is required, then Atma cannot satisfy either of the criteria because Atma is Advitiya and being Asanga also, therefore it cannot join with anything. So Advitiyasya Asangasyapi Atmana Upadanatva Siddhe. But Vedanta says that Atma or Brahman, which is one without a second, which is Asangam, even that also is Upadana Karanam. That's what we want to prove. Then only Eka Vijnanena Sarva Vijnanam. Then only by if Brahman is both Nimitta Karanam as well as Upadana Karanam, then only by knowing Brahman everything can be known. So, therefore this other rule that Samvaya Karanam or Upadana Karanam must be many, and then when you Sanyoga between them, that rule also is now refuted. Further, Napi Ityadina. So Bhashyakara says, Napi Anekam Eva Arabhate Na Ekam Iti Niyama Asti. It's a beautiful analysis. See, analysis of Vyavahara also. How much you can see how the thinkers have given thought to all these minute things, you see. And that's called philosophy. So that you have to analyze everything and establish a position which cannot be shaken. Thus, the Vaisheshikas have established a position which they think they cannot be shaken. So here are the arguments. Napi anekam eva arabhate naekam. That for creating an effect, you require many, and one thing cannot create effect, that also na niyamasti, even that is not a rule. So now going into their own Siddhanta, their own arguments. Their whole Siddhanta is based on certain arguments and certain assumptions. And going to that route, says Ratnava, Kim arambhaka matrasya ayam niyama uta dravyarambhakasya. Kim arambhaka matrasya. Now when you say that, this rule that you require many for creating an effect, do you mean that you require many for any effect, or you require many for creating a dravya or substance? Effect can be anything, you see. That when I throw something, the effect is motion. When I drop something, the effect that it falls down. So effect is not always creation, understand? So are you saying that you require many things to create an effect, or you require many things to create a substance, dravya? Like a clock is a dravya. They require many parts to create a clock. The cloth is a dravya. You require many threads or yarn to create a cloth. Pot is a dravya. You require many particles of clay to create a pot. Okay. So, when you say that you require many to create an effect, do you mean that you require many substances to create a dravya or a substance, or you require many things to create any effect? So effect can be anything. So kim arambhaka matrasya niyama. This rule that you require many things to create an effect, do you mean that to create any effect do you require many things? Uta dravyarambhakasya, or you require many things to create a dravya or a substance. Please tell us. Now, adya, first one does not apply to your own things. Anu, Bhashyakara says, Anu manasoho adya karmarambha abhyavagamaad So anu manasoho, anu is an atom or paramanu, and manas means the mind. Adya karma arambha abhyavagamat. That one anu is able to create an effect, and one mind is able to create an effect. This is what they say. The very first effect, you see, Bhashyakara explains here, or says Ratnaprabha, Dvanukasya jnanasya cha asamvaye karana sanyoga janakam adyam karma. Now you see, in the state of dissolution, what exists is the 5 atoms which are independent of each other. You see, what they say is that the most fundamental element is atom. That there are 5 elements, Akashavayu, and so there are 5 atoms. In the dissolute atom is indestructible. So, in the dissolution state, when everything reduces to its fundamental, then these 5 atoms remain, and other 4 also remain. The mind, the Atma, the Dik, the quarters, the Kal, the time, they're all indestructible. They all remain, even in a time of dissolution. And then things happen by which creation takes place. So how will creation take place? When 2 atoms combine, then there is Dvanuk. Then 2 Dvanuk combine, then there is Tranuk. And that's how the creation takes place. So initially, 2 atoms must combine. So, for combining now, one atom takes the initiative to combine with another atom, isn't it? Otherwise, Dvanuk cannot be created. So that this sanyoga between 2 atoms, one atom gets united with the other atom, that's how the Dvanuk is created. So that union of the 2 atoms can take place provided something happens, some kriya happens. So one atom therefore creates an effect such that at the time of creation now, at the time of dissolution, all these atoms were independently there. When the time for creation comes, then this atom gets combined or united with another atom. So one atom creates this sanyoga or conjunction with another atom. That's an effect. For sanyoga to be created, 2 atoms must combine. So each atom has to do something, create an effect so that they combine. Therefore the first sanyoga that takes place from one atom only, isn't it? One atom creates an effect, karma, so that the 2 atoms combine, then further combinations take place. So dvanukasya jnanasya cha asamvaya karana sanyogajanakam adyam karma. Asamvaya karana. What is samvaya karanam? Atom is the samvaya karanam, material cause. The union between the 2 atoms. That's why sanyoga is so important. For Vaisheshikas, the 2 atoms must combine and unite with each other to create what they call a dvanuk. And these dvanuks again should join with each other, combine and unite with each other to create a tranuk. And they should further then combine to make this tangible matter. So anukasya cha, dvanukasya cha, asamvaya karana sanyoga janakam. Then sanyoga is what? Asamvaya karanam. Anu is the samvaya karanam, with asamvaya karanam. So sanyoga is created, that's an effect. And for creating sanyoga, you require anu must cause some activity. Then only sanyoga can take place, adyam karma. So adyam karma is the first activity which makes these 2 atoms combine with each other so that the ground for further combinations take place. Similarly, they say that the Atma is unconscious by nature. Only when Atma combines with mind, that Atma gains consciousness. For Atma to gain consciousness again, this sanyoga the union between Atma and mind must take place. So again, that mind must initiate some activity so that the mind combines with Atma so that Atma becomes conscious. So the atom must initiate an activity so that two atoms combine to create a Dvanuk, or the mind also should initiate an activity so that mind combines with Atma to make Atma conscious. So that initial activity, because of which Sanyoga takes place, that initial activity is an effect which may emerge from one atom or one mind. So the first is, do you mean that for creating any effect you require many things? So Adyam Karma is the initial activity. Without initial activity, creation cannot take place. Now Sankhyas would say that in the state of dissolution, the three gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas, they are all in balanced state. And then, though samya is there, and then vishamata happens, then the balance is disturbed. So that is initial activity. When that balance is disturbed, then the creation starts. So initial activity is always assumed. According to Sankhya, the initial activity is because the matter has intelligence. According to Niyayika, the initial activity is because of the command of Ishvara. So Ishvara says that let the creation take place and therefore the initial activity. But anyway, the idea is that the atoms must create an initial activity, then only that combination can take place. That Sanyoga is asamvaya karana. To cause the asamvaya karana, meaning Sanyoga, initial activity must be initiated by the atom. Again says Ratnava, Yadyapi Adrushtavat Atma Sanyukte Anumanasi Adya Karma Arambhake. Even though Atma is always there, and Atma Sanyukte Anumanasiya. Anu also combines along with Atma creates an initial activity, or mind along with Atma creates an activity. Tathapi Karma Samvayinaha Ekatvat. As far as karma is concerned, it is one atom or one mind. Therefore, Anekatva Niyama Bhangaha. So your niyama that to create any activity, you require many things. That many things alone can create an effect. One thing cannot create an effect. That rule does not apply with reference to the atom or with reference to the manas or the mind. Ekaiko hi, Subhashyakara says, Ekaiko hi Parmano Manascha Adyam Karma Arabhate Nadravyantarai Samhatya Iti Abhivagamyate. Ekaiko hi Parmano. You yourself say that one atom. So Anu means molecule and Paramanu means atom. That's how we have to translate. So call it Anu or Paramanu, the same thing here. Ekaiko hi Paramanu Manascha Adyam Karma Arabhate. Each individual atom and mind which are one, they initiate the first activity. Na dravyantari samhatya. There is no dravyantaram. There is no other substance as yet, because other substance will come provided the first union takes place. And for that, so how one atom or one mind, without the association with any other substance, they initiate the first activity. And so it is possible to create an effect without the need of something else. So this is what, to create any effect. Then he says, no, we do not mean that you require many things to create any effect. We mean you require many things to create a dravya. Not just an action, but dravya. So ekaikasya dravyantarehi means samvaya bhi ityartha. So you require other dravya. So what they mean by two is that you require many samvaya karanam, and that is not there with atom or the mind. Dvitiyam utthapya arambhavada anangikaranam dushayati. Dvitiyam utthapya. What's the dvitiyam? He says, no, what we mean is that you require many materials to create a substance. Not just any effect, but effect in the form of a substance. Such as, you require many threads to create a cloth which is substance. You require many threads to create a rope which is substance, etc. So we mean that this rule about the manyness is for the purpose of creating a substance, not for any effect. So, utthapya, that point is raised and then refuted by arambhavada anangikarena. As we said, for the Naiyayikas, a non-existent pot is created. A pot means not even pot that did not exist in clay is created. The cloth that did not exist in yarn is created. That's called arambhavada. Vedantin doesn't accept that. Vedantin says that a pot is there in the clay in the unmanifest form. It is not a non-existent pot that comes to be created. It is an unmanifest pot that becomes manifest. So effect is there in unmanifest state in the material cause and becomes manifest. So this is what we call creation. So Dravya, Bhashyakara says, this is a Purva Paksha here. Dravyarambe eva aneka arambhakatva niyamaha iti chet. So then he says, wait a minute, we do not mean that you require many material for creating any effect. We mean that you require many material for creating a dravya. So dravyarambe anek arambhakatva niyama. Dravyarambe, for creating dravya alone, you require many arambhaka, you require the number of samvayik, many number of causes you require. Causes mean number of members of the same class of the samvaya karanam. Then the answer is given. Na parinama abhyavagama. Says no, we accept what we call parinama. There is Sankhya Prakriya. Parinama is transformation. See, the creation is different and parinama is different. A non-existent thing is created is one thing. An existent thing gets transformed is another thing, For example, a snake becomes a coil. Now that's also called parinama. That's also creation. A snake becomes a coil. Therefore, we say that a gold, for example, becomes ornament. It's parinama. What is ornament? Ornament is nothing but another state of gold. They would say that ornament is another substance. Gold is another substance. And therefore, arambhavada, an ornament that did not exist in gold gets created. We say parinamavada. We say that it is gold that undergoes transformation to become ornament. So what is ornament? According to Vedanta, nothing but the different state of gold. Understand the difference? So, that's why it says, parinama abhyavagamat. Because we accept what we call parinama or transformation, that effect is the parinama, transformation of the material cause. This is our position. Says Bhashyakara further, Bhavet esha niyamaha yadi sanyoga sachivam dravyam dravyantarasya arambhakam abhyavagamyeta. Bhavet esha niyamaha. What you say is that you require many members of Samvaya Karanam. That rule would be there if Sanyoga Sachivam Dravyam Dravyantarasya Arambakam Abhyugamyeda. If we accept that one Dravya creates another Dravya, Sanyoga Sachivam. So what means? That in association with Sanyoga. The idea is just as many yarns create a cloth. So yarn along with Sanyoga, a yarn along with Sanyoga or conjunction with other yarns, they create a cloth. So according to them, a cloth is created, you see. They accept creation. We accept transformation. They accept creation. So they say that these yarns, which are many in number, and there is sanyoga or combination or conjunction between different yarns, they create another substance called, another entity called cloth. So we say that your rule that you require many members is applicable provided you accept that one dravya, one substance creates another substance. But we say that creation is not one substance creating another substance. We say that creation is the different state of the same substance. Transformation of the same substance. So Bhashyakara explains. So dravyantarasya arambakam abhyugamyete. If we accept that one dravya creates another dravya, then what you say is applicable. Says Ratnava, natu abhyugamyate. But we do not accept that creation is one dravya into another dravya. Tasmat na esha niyama dishesha. Therefore, your rule that you require many members of the same class is not applicable because we do not accept a creation, we accept transformation. So Bhashyakara explains, Tadeva tu dravyam Visheshavat avasthantaram apaddimanam karyam nama abhyavagamyate. Tadeva tu dravya. We say that's the very same dravya. Visheshavat avasthantaram apaddimanam. That very same substance such as gold. Avasthantaram apaddimanam, which assumes a different state. Visheshavat, having some peculiarities. So that gold, having a different state, possessing some peculiarities. For example, that gold gets transformed into what we call a bangle. So bangle is the other state of gold with some peculiarities. Because the earring, which is another state of gold with its own peculiarity. So Vishesh also is Visheshavat avasthantaratvam. So a different state with a peculiarity is what we call effect. So Visheshavat avasthantaram apaddimanam karyam nam abhivagamyate. As far as our position is concerned, karyam nama, what we call effect is avasthantaram, is nothing but the another state of the same material cause with some peculiarity. This is what we accept. So you accept that another dravya is created, we accept that no new dravya is created, same dravya undergoes transformation with some peculiarities. Continuing further. Tacca kvachita anekam parinamate mrudbijadi ankuradi bhavena. That B should be dirgha actually. Mrudbijadi ankuradi bhavena. Tacca kvachit anekam parinamate. Now when it comes to transformation, then sometimes you require more than one thing to be transformed to create an effect. Mrut bijadi. For example, to create a sprout, you require the clay as well as the seed. So yes, you are right, at that time more than one is required for creating an effect. So in case of a seed, it combines with the soil or earth, and that's how a sprout is created. So in some cases, you require more than one. And so further, kvachita ekam parinamate shirade dadhyadi bhavena. But kvachit sometimes ekam parinamate shiradi dadhyadi bhavena, but sometimes only one milk alone gets transformed into curd. So curd is an effect and milk is the cause. So one milk alone gets transformed into curd. So there is no rule that you require many things, to create a substance. Says Ratnaprabha, now what is their position about this milk and curd? Yattu kshira paramanushu rasantarotpattau taiyeva dadi arabhyate iti. You know what they say? Kshira paramanushu. There are atoms of the milk, So milk atoms, rasantarotpattau. So these atoms of the milk, they create a rasa, another rasa, which gets converted into curd. So they imagine another state. There is milk, from the atoms of the milk, a rasa is created, and from the rasa, the dhi or the curd is created. Iti tanna, that we do not accept because kshira nashe mana abhava. See, according to you, the milk should get destroyed, rasa should be there, and that should get destroyed, then curd must be there. But we do not find milk being destroyed. And therefore, to say that the milk gets converted into rasa, which further gets converted into curd, is not right. It's all like imagination. You're imagining things, but we don't see. We do not see milk not being there and some other substance being there and then the curd is there. We don't see that. Rasavat dadnahapi ekadravya arambatva sambhavacha. If rasa can be created from milk, so one milk can create rasa, why not one milk can create curd? If one milk can create rasa, so rasavat dadnopi ekadravya arabhyatva sambhavat. If one milk can create rasa, one milk can create curd also. And so it is one thing, one substance alone that creates another substance. You do not require manyness there. Dravyaguna sanketasya paurushayasya shutyartha nirnaya ahetutvadi bhava. Dravyaguna sanketa means paribhasha. So dravya and guna, they have their own paribhasha, means their own technical structure is there. So according to them, number of 9 dravyas are there. And what is guna is another substance. So different categories are there. So dravya is one category, guna is another category. What is guna? Guna means the quality. Dravya is substance. For example, the cloth is red, so cloth is orange. So cloth is called dravya, orange is called guna. Guna means attribute or quality. A quality is never independent. Quality always depends upon a substance. So karma is another category. So karma also is always dependent upon a substance. Karma or activity cannot be independent. Activity always requires an ashraya, requires always a locus in form of substance. So a ball can move, So there is an activity, action there. That action, movement requires a thing like a ball, requires a substance. Similarly, quality, like goodness is a quality, requires a person having goodness. This is all their prakriya. And according to them, the substance is different, guna is different. So we are saying that you have created this prakriya, and based on that prakriya, you are denying what Shruti says, And what an audacity is that? That you imagine certain things and then say that because what the Upanishad says does not satisfy that, or is not in conformity with that, therefore Upanishad is wrong. How can you say that? So says, Dravya Guna Sanketasya Paurushayasya. This is all Purusha Buddhi. All your paribhasha, all these prakriyas, processes are all imagined by you, by the human mind. So what is imagined by human mind cannot contradict what the Upanishad says, what the Shruti says. So Shrutyartha Nirnaya Ahetutvat. Shrutyartha Nirnaya. What is Shrutyartha? Shrutyartha is Akasha is created. That's all. Tasmadva Atmana Akasha Sambhuta. So that is Shruti. Artha Nirnaya is what? That from Atma space is created. Now there you are saying all of this. This requires so many samvaya karana. All this is your imagination. So what you are imagining cannot really become the basis for negating what the Shruti says. So, Paurushayasya, all of these kind of requirements are imagined by you, and that your imagination cannot be the basis of negating or different interpretation of what the Shruti says. So Bhashyakara says, न ईश्वर शासनम अस्ते अनेकम एव कारणम कार्यम जनयते इति. If Ishvara has said that, Paurusha is one thing and what Ishvara says is another thing. What Ishvara says is ultimate. So Shruti is said to be the revelation of Ishvara. Therefore what Shruti says is ultimate. So the Ishvara Shasanam Asti, we do not find any kind of an edict of Ishvara or fatwa by Ishvara, or a rule by Ishvara, that you require many causes to create a substance. So many samvaya karana is required, many members samvaya karana is required, that many alone can create an effect. There is no such rule, no universal rule, no Shastra says that, you say that. And you saying and then you say that, well, since Upanishad does not conform, we say that the Upanishad must be interpreted differently. Now that's ridiculous. Ataha Shruti Pramanyat Ekasmad Brahmana Akashadi Mahabhutotpatti Kramena Jagadjatam iti nischiyate. Ataha Shruti Pramanya. So, since the basis of your thinking is contradicted, there are internal contradictions in your own theory. That anekam eva arabhyate natu ekam, that is now is shown an exception as to how one milk can create curd. So even if you say that you require many things to create a substance, then also one milk creates the curd. So it's not that you require many things. And therefore, your whole basis is questionable. And that questionable basis cannot become the criterion for differently interpreting what the Shruti says. Ataha Shruti Pramanya. Meaning that what you say has not been able to contradict the Shruti. What you say has not been able to prove the Shruti to be wrong. Therefore, Shruti ultimately remains Pramana. If what the Vaisheshikas argued could prove that what the Shruti says is wrong, then Shruti is not Pramana. But what they say does not prove the Shruti to be wrong, therefore the Pramanyam, the authenticity of Shruti, remains. Ataha Shruti Pramanya. Therefore, by the Pramanyam, authenticity of Shruti, Ekasmad Brahmana. This is our interest. That you do not require many things, one thing is enough. One Atma is enough to create everything. Ekasmad Brahmana Akashadi Mahabhutotpatti Kramena. That from Brahman, which is one and non-dual, Jagat Jayate, the universe is created or universe is born by the Krama, by the sequence of beginning from Akasha and Vayu, etc. Meaning that conclusion remains unchallenged. That conclusion remains unchallenged, meaning that Akasha is created. Says Nyaya Nirnay, Ekasyapi Parinaminah Sahakari Apeksha Adarsanat Tad Virahina Brahmana Jagat Karanatvam Ayuktamidyasankyaha. So Sahakari Apeksha Darshanat. Ekasyapi Parinama Sahakari Apeksha Darshanat. So even if you accept, so this says Vaisheshika, says to Vedanta, even if you accept your position that one can create, is sufficient to create an effect or create a substance, still that one also requires Sahakari Karana. Sahakari means a supporting cause is always required. So Sahakari Apeksha Darshanat, we find that one also requires something is required. So milk requires some curdling element, for example, some Sahakari is required. Then alone we find the creation taking place. Tad virahitaha Brahmana, but Brahman is no Sahakari at all. Jagat Karanam Ayuktam, therefore, how can Brahma be Jagat Karanam? Iti ashankya tasacha. So Bhashyakara says, in fact here also it says, Ratnava Loke Kartuhu Sahaya Darshanat Asahayat Brahmana Katham Sargayat. The same thing. Loke Kartuhu Sahaya Darshanat. Because in our day-to-day life we find that a Karta in Nimitta Karanam always requires some supporting causes. Then only creation is possible. But Brahman is asahayam, without any sahaya. So how can Brahman without sahaya, how can it create Jagat? So Bhashyakara says, Tathacha Uttam Upasamhara Darshanat Na iti chet Na Kshiravadhe iti. See, Brahma Sutra 2.124. You will go back. Page number 96, 396. Upasamhara darshanat na iti chet na kshiravadhi iti. Chetanam Brahma ekam advitiyam jagatah karanamiti uttam tanna upadyate. Same thing. That Chetanam Brahma ekam advitiyam. Brahman is consciousness, one without a second, and that becomes the cause of the creation. That is not tenable. Kasmad why? Upasamhara darshanat. Upasamhara means acquiring. Because you find that a creator always acquires some material. Iha hi loke kolaladaya ghatapatatadinam kartarah mruddanda chakra sutradi anek karaka upasamharena sangruhita sadhana. So even if one kulala, one pot maker creates a pot, he still requires a lot of assistance. So mruddanda chakra, even though nimitta karana is one, still you require Mrud Danda Chakra requires clay, requires a wheel, requires a stick, requires a thread, requires some water. All these sahakari karanas are required. Ghata patadinam, pata also requires, this vehement, so he also requires a loom and requires a shuttle and stuff like that. So, upasamhara darshana, we find that whenever any creation takes place, the creator always reaches out for things other than himself. Just as a pot maker, even though he is one, he reaches out for other things such as clay, such as potter's wheel, such as danda, stick, etc. Meaning that the simply kulala or a pot maker on his own cannot create a pot without the help or assistance or support of other causes. Whereas Brahman is one, non-dual, does not have any kind of the supporting causes. How can it create Jagat? Iti. Brahmacha asahayam tav avipretam. You say that Brahma is asahayam without any sahaya. Tasya sadhanantara anupasangrahe sati katham sastutvam upadyeta. If Brahman doesn't have any sadhana, then how can it create? Tasmat na Brahma jagat karanam iti ched. Therefore, Brahma is not jagat karanam. Sahaya abhavat. Iti ched. Nishadosha yataha kshiravat dravya svabhava visheshat upapadyate. Yatha loke kshiram jalam va swayameva dadihima bhavena parinamate. For example, the milk gets transformed into curd and the water gets transformed into ice. They don't require anything else other than themselves. Anapeksha bahyam sadhanam tat ihave bhavesha. So we just show one exception. Idea is that they quote a rule, you must show an exception. In the court of law also, a lawyer will present a rule, law. Then you have to go for some past judgment and show that no, but this was interpreted that way by that court, and so that becomes an exception. So here also, even though general rule is there, that's what general observation is, that the Creator always requires the supporting causes, but like milk gets converted into, transformed into curd, water gets transformed into ice. So there is no rule that you require other things. That's also exception rule. So therefore, na kshiravat hi. Just as kshira or milk gets transformed into curd without the need of any sahakari karanam. Nanu kshiradepi dadhyadi bhavena parinamana apekshate eva bhashyam sadhanam aushnadikam. Hey, milk also requires to be warmed. Then only it becomes curd, So milk also requires heat as sahakari karanam. Neshadosha swamapikshiram yamcha yavatimcha parinamatra anubhavati tavatevatu tvaryate aushnadina. The idea is that warming of the milk only accelerates the process of curd. It's not that curd will not be made. The milk will get turned to curd because milk has the inherent yam swadi swayam dadhi bhava shilata nasyat. If milk did not have the potential of becoming transformed into curd, even heating also would not have done it. So you heat the milk so that the curd, is made fast. If you don't warm the milk, it takes a long time. But the milk will ultimately get transformed into curd because that potential is there. If milk did not have potential, even if heating also would not have helped it. You can't make curd out of water because water doesn't have that potential. So that shows that heating is only for accelerating that process, but basically the potential of transforming into curd is there in the milk itself. So there's an exception how there is no rule that you require a sahakari karana. Okay, we'll continue tomorrow. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate शांति शांति शांति। शंकरं शंकराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति भाविने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरि ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम।